My parents gave my house to my brother after he lost $1 million. Not his house, not their house, my house. The house I bought after 12 years of working until my eyes burned, eating cheap dinners in my office, skipping vacations, paying family bills I never created, and saving every extra dollar because I wanted one place in this world where nobody could move me aside. My name is Naomi Bennett. I was 37 years old when I walked into my own living room and found my brother Marcus standing there with a tape measure, his wife Tasha holding paint samples, and my mother Patricia pointing toward my guest room like she was planning a nursery. My father Leonard stood near the fireplace with his arms folded, wearing the serious face he used whenever the family had already made a decision and needed me to obey it. The house was called Rosegate. A soft gray stone home at the edge of Bellwater, with a wide porch, a library, a sunny kitchen, and a garden I had spent 2 years bringing back to life. It was not a mansion people visited to be impressed. It was my peace. Every wall carried something I had survived. The front porch was where I drank tea after signing my first national contract. The kitchen was where I learned to cook for joy instead of duty. The library was where I kept Grandma Ruth's books and her framed note that said, "A woman needs one door that opens because her own hand holds the key." That morning, my own key was in my purse, but my family stood inside my house like I was the visitor. I had been away for 4 days on a business trip. Grace, my best friend and CFO, had offered to check the house, but I told her not to worry. "I'm only gone until Thursday," I said. She looked at me carefully. "Does your family know?" "Yes." "Then I am worried." I laughed then. I should not have. Because when I pulled into my driveway that Thursday afternoon, Marcus's truck was parked near my garage. Tasha's SUV was beside it. My parents' old sedan sat under the oak tree. And through the front window, I saw movement. People inside. My stomach tightened. I parked slowly. Before I even reached the porch, I heard Marcus laughing inside my hallway. "Man, this place has enough space for everything. Caleb can take the blue room. Maya can have the room near the garden. Tasha, the baby, can go across from us." The baby. Tasha was not even pregnant. At least not that I knew. I opened the front door. Everyone turned. My mother smiled too brightly. "Naomi, you're home early." I stepped inside. "No, I'm home on time." Marcus gave me a casual wave, like he had not just assigned children to my bedrooms. "What's up, sis?" Tasha looked uncomfortable, but kept holding the paint samples. My father cleared his throat. "We need to talk." I looked at the tape measure in Marcus's hand. "No. First, I need to know why you are measuring rooms in my house." My mother's smile slipped. "Baby, don't start angry." That was always the first move. Make my reaction the problem before explaining the betrayal. I looked at Marcus. "Why are you here?" He sighed as if I was being difficult before the conversation even began. "Mom and Dad didn't tell you?" My chest went cold. "Tell me what?" My father stepped forward. "Marcus has had a serious financial setback." I did not blink. "What kind of setback?" Marcus looked away. Tasha swallowed. "My father said he lost money in an investment." "How much?" My mother clasped her hands. "Naomi, numbers don't matter right now." I stared at her. "In my house, numbers matter." My father answered. $1 million. The room became still. Even the air felt embarrassed. $1 million, I repeated. Marcus snapped. "It wasn't just gambling around. It was a structured investment opportunity." Grace would have called that sentence a red carpet for stupidity. I looked at him. "Did you lose your own money?" His silence answered first. Then Tasha whispered, "Some of ours, some borrowed." "How much borrowed?" Marcus said, "That's not the point." "It is exactly the point." My father raised his hand. "Naomi, he is under enough pressure." I laughed once. Not because it was funny, because pressure had become Marcus's permanent address. He was always under pressure. 'Pressure' after quitting jobs, 'pressure' after failed businesses, 'pressure' after late rent, 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 'pressure' after late Pressure after late rent. Pressure after unpaid loans. Pressure after bad investments. And somehow, every time Marcus was under pressure, my life became the cushion. My mother stepped closer. "Baby, your brother may lose his home." I looked at Marcus. "You still have a home?" He looked down. Tasha's face twisted. My father said, "The bank is moving quickly. There are liens, demands, creditors calling. Marcus and Tasha need stability." I looked around Rosegate. The flowers on the table. The shoes by my own door that were not mine. A small suitcase near the stairs. A box of children's toys by the hallway. My throat tightened. "You brought their things here." My mother reached for my hand. I pulled back. Her face hurt, but I did not soften. She said, "We thought it would be easier if we started moving a few things before you got home." Easier for who? Silence. Marcus finally spoke. "Naomi, it's temporary." That word. Temporary. The oldest lie in my family. Temporary loans. Temporary childcare. Temporary stays. Temporary sacrifice. Temporary always became my permanent loss. "How temporary?" I asked. He shrugged. 6 months. Maybe a year. Until we recover. And where would I live? Tasha looked at the floor. My mother answered softly. "The garden cottage has a bathroom." My body went cold. The garden cottage. The tiny cottage behind the house where I kept my writing desk, extra books, gardening tools, and Grandma Ruth's old rocking chair. They had not only moved Marcus into my house in their minds, they had moved me out. "You want me to live in my garden cottage?" My father said, "It is still on the property." I stared at him. So generous. Watch your tone. There it was. The old warning. Not watch your son's fraud. Not watch your family walking through your daughter's house like thieves with paint samples. Watch your tone. I looked at him calmly. "No." He blinked. "What?" "No. That phrase is retired." Marcus scoffed. "Oh, here we go." I turned to him. "You lost $1 million and came to measure my bedrooms. I would stay quiet if I were you." His face flushed. My mother gasped. "Naomi." I looked at her. "Did you give him my house?" My mother cried instantly. Not slow tears. Not surprise. Instant. Like a faucet she had practiced using. "We didn't give it," she said. "We agreed as a family that this is the only solution." As a family? Yes. Without me? She looked away. My father said, "You were traveling. There are phones." Marcus said, "You would have said no." I smiled sadly. "So you knew the owner's answer and continued anyway." Tasha finally spoke. "Naomi, I'm sorry. I told them we should wait." Marcus snapped. "Tasha." She stepped back. But I heard her. My mother wiped her cheeks. "Baby, please. Your brother is broken. His children are scared. You have money. You have options. And he has consequences." My father's voice hardened. "Consequences can destroy a man." I looked at him. "And saving him every time has built one?" That landed. The room went quiet. Marcus threw the tape measure onto the sofa. "You always act like you're better than me." "No, Marcus. I keep hoping you will become better than this." He stepped toward me. "You don't even need this whole house. It's just you, one woman." There it was. The sentence beneath everything. Just me. One woman. No husband. No children. So my home was extra. My peace was extra. My rooms were extra. My life was extra. I walked to the front door and opened it. "Everyone leave." My mother's mouth fell open. "Naomi?" I looked at my father. "Now." He laughed without humor. "This is family property in spirit." "No," I said. "It is my property in law." Marcus pointed at me. "You would really throw your nieces and nephews out? They are not here. But they will be. Not ever." The words left my mouth clean. Sharp. Final. Not ever. My mother cried harder. My father looked like I had slapped the family name across the room. Marcus stared at me with pure anger. I looked at him and said it again. Not ever. Before I continue, tell me where you are watching from tonight, and if your family has ever called your dream selfish because they wanted it for someone else, stay with this story. Because Marcus thought losing $1 million would make me feel sorry enough to hand over my keys. He did not know I had already learned what happens when you keep rescuing a man from the fire he keeps starting. I was not cruel to Marcus because he failed once. That would be unfair. People fail. Good people make bad choices. Strong people lose money. Families sometimes help each other through storms. But Marcus did not have storms. Marcus had weather patterns, and my parents had spent years pretending every disaster was rain instead of the broken roof he refused to repair. When we were children, Marcus was the golden boy. Not because he was better, because he was first. First son, first grandson, first child my father said would carry the family name. I was the steady girl, my mother's helper, my father's quiet pride. Marcus's emergency support. When Marcus forgot homework, I helped him. When Marcus lost lunch money, I shared mine. When Marcus broke things, I softened the story. When Marcus failed, the family gathered around him. When I succeeded, they asked if I could help him succeed too. Grandma Ruth saw it. She always saw it. She was my mother's aunt, but she loved me like a daughter chosen by truth instead of blood order. At 12, I once asked her why Marcus got forgiven so easily. She sat on her porch, peeling oranges with a small knife, and said, "Because your parents confused saving him with loving him." "Isn't saving someone love?" I asked. She shook her head. "Not if you keep saving him from lessons he needs to learn." That sentence stayed with me, but it took years to live by it. In my 20s, Marcus started his first business, a car cleaning service. I gave him $2,000 for equipment. He spent half on a launch party. The business died in 4 months. Then came a phone repair shop. I co-signed a small loan. He missed payments. I paid to protect my credit. Then came online trading. Then imported shoes. Then a lounge that never opened. Then cryptocurrency. Then real estate wholesaling, after watching too many internet videos. Each failure had a story. A partner betrayed him. The market changed. Customers were foolish. Banks were unfair. Tasha did not support him enough. My father did not give enough capital. I asked too many questions. Never Marcus. Never the man who kept placing matches near gasoline and crying when the room burned. I helped too long. That is the truth. Not because I was stupid, because guilt was my first language. My mother could cry one tear and I would reach for my wallet. My father could say, "Your brother needs you," and I would feel 10 years old again, standing in the kitchen trying to keep peace. When Grandma Ruth died, she left me some money and a letter. Not a fortune, but enough to help me buy Rosegate years later. Her letter said, "Naomi, do not let anyone turn your soft heart into a public road. Roads get used by people who never ask who maintains them." I framed that line, then still allowed too much traffic. Healing is not instant because advice is wise. I built Bennett ClearPath solutions slowly. Healthcare systems, operations, logistics, patient access. I worked until success became visible. And the moment success became visible, my family began calling it family blessing. When I bought Rosegate, my mother said, "God has given us a place of peace." Us. That little word. I corrected her gently. "Mom, it's my home." She smiled. "Of course, baby. Your home, but family shares joy." I let it pass. That was my mistake. The first time Marcus stayed over, it was one weekend. Then another. Then Tasha asked if the children could use the garden for a birthday party. Then my mother asked for a church women's meeting. Then my father said I should let Marcus store boxes in the garage. Each request looked small alone. Together, they were a map. A map leading straight to the day they would stand in my living room and act shocked that my answer was no. After I ordered them out, nobody moved at first. My father tested me with silence. My mother tested me with tears. Marcus tested me with anger. Tasha looked like she wanted the floor to open. I walked to the security panel by the door and disarmed the old guest code. Marcus frowned. "What are you doing?" "Ending access." My mother gasped. "Naomi, don't be dramatic." I entered the command. The system beeped. Guest code deleted. Marcus's face changed. "Are you serious?" I looked at him. "Yes." My father stepped forward. "This is unnecessary." "No. Measuring my bedrooms was unnecessary." "This is overdue." I picked up Marcus's suitcase near the stairs and placed it outside on the porch. Tasha hurried forward. "I'll get the rest." Marcus turned on her. "Don't help her." Tasha looked at him with tired eyes. "Marcus, stop." That was the first time I heard something final in her voice. Maybe she had reached her own edge. Maybe seeing my boundary reminded her she could have one too. My father said, "If you make your brother homeless, this family will not forget it." I looked at him. "Good. Remember accurately." Then I took out my phone and called Grace. She answered on speaker. "Please tell me you are not calling from a crime scene. Marcus is in my house measuring bedrooms after losing $1 million. My parents gave him Rosegate." There was silence. Then Grace said, "Put me on video." I did. Her face appeared, sharp and furious. She looked at my family through the screen. "Everybody out before Vivian becomes more expensive." My mother cried, "Grace, this is none of your business." Grace smiled. "Naomi's house is Naomi's business. I am her CFO, best friend, and longtime witness to this family's circus. Pick a reason." Marcus said, "Stay out of this." Grace leaned closer to the camera. "Marcus, if confidence was collateral, you'd still be bankrupt." I almost laughed. Almost. Vivian Hart arrived 30 minutes later because Grace had already called her. That was the kind of friend Grace was. She did not just comfort, she mobilized. Vivian stepped onto the porch in a gray suit, carrying a leather folder and the calm expression of a woman who could ruin someone's plan with one paragraph. My father looked irritated. "We do not need lawyers." Vivian smiled politely. "People standing inside another person's house with moving boxes often say that." Marcus muttered, "This is ridiculous." Vivian looked at me. "Naomi, did you invite any of them to move in?" "No." "Did you authorize transfer, lease, occupancy, or extended stay?" "No." "Did anyone have permission to measure rooms or move belongings?" "No." Vivian turned to my family. "Then you are leaving." My father said, "We are her parents." "Congratulations," Vivian said. "That is not a property interest." Grace, still on video, whispered, "I love her." My mother sat down on the porch chair and cried into her hands. "Naomi, please. I cannot watch my grandchildren suffer." I crouched a little, but not too close. "Mom, your grandchildren are not suffering in this house because they are not living here. They need stability. They need parents who stop using them as proof that other people should pay." She flinched. That was harsh. It was also true. Marcus shouted, "You think I wanted this? I lost everything." I stood. "No, Marcus, you gambled with borrowed money and expected my house to become your insurance policy." His face changed. "How did you know?" The room went still. Tasha looked at me, then at Marcus. My father turned. "Borrowed money?" My mother's crying stopped. I stared at Marcus. "You didn't tell them?" Marcus swallowed. Vivian looked interested now. Grace said from the phone, "Oh, this fruit has layers." I folded my arms. "Marcus, how much of the 1 million was yours?" He looked away. My father's voice sharpened. "Answer," Marcus muttered. "Not now." Tasha spoke quietly. "Almost none of it." My mother whispered, "What?" Tasha's eyes filled. "He borrowed from private lenders. He used the house we rent as part of a false asset statement. He borrowed from 2 cousins. He took money from the children's savings account." That last line hit the room hardest. My mother covered her mouth. My father looked stunned. Marcus snapped, "I was going to replace it." With what? Tasha cried. A miracle? For the first time, my family's attention shifted fully toward Marcus. Not toward saving him, toward seeing him. He hated it. He pointed at me. This is what she does. She makes everyone turn against me. I shook my head. No, Marcus. Your own math did that. Vivian asked. Did any of these lenders believe Rosegate was available as collateral? Marcus said nothing. My stomach turned. My father stared at him. Marcus? Tasha whispered. He told one lender Naomi had agreed to let him use family property if needed. I closed my eyes. Family property. Again. Vivian's voice became cold. That stops today. The next hour became a careful removal of everything they had brought. Boxes, toys, 2 suitcases, a folded crib frame, paint samples, a bag of towels from my linen closet. My linen closet. I watched Tasha carry things out with tears in her eyes. I did not help. Not because I hated her. Because I needed everyone to feel the weight of what they had tried to move into my life. When the house was cleared, Vivian handed my parents a formal notice. No occupancy. No transfer. No use of Rosegate in debt negotiations. No representations that my property was available to Marcus, lenders, family, or creditors. No entry without written permission. My father's hands shook as he read it. You are treating us like criminals. Vivian said, I am treating Naomi like the owner. My mother looked at me. Baby, are you really doing this? I looked around my house. The couch Marcus had thrown the tape measure on. The staircase he almost carried his life up. The hallway where my mother had planned to move me toward the garden cottage. Yes. My voice did not shake. I am really doing this. They left, one by one. Marcus last. At the door, he turned to me. You chose a house over family. I shook my head. No, I chose not to lose both to your debt. He had no answer. When the last car left, the house became quiet. Too quiet. My knees almost gave out. Grace was still on video. Naomi? I'm here. Lock the door. I locked it. Now breathe. I did. Then I sank to the floor in the hallway and cried. Vivian sat in a chair nearby, quiet and patient. Grace stayed on the screen. Nobody told me I was strong. I hated when people rushed to say that. Strong people still break after doing the right thing. The next morning, the real damage appeared. Marcus had told 2 lenders that Rosegate was family-owned and that I was willing to help secure repayment if needed. One had even driven past my property. I checked security footage and found a stranger photographing my gate 3 days earlier. My stomach turned cold. Vivian moved fast. Cease and desist letters, fraud notices, property protection filings, security upgrades, police report for trespass documentation, credit monitoring, full review of my family financial connections. Grace audited old transfers and found what I had avoided seeing for years. In 5 years, I had given Marcus over $300,000. Some direct, some through my parents, some hidden as school help, rent help, medical help, business support, and temporary family emergencies. $300,000. And he still walked into my house after losing $1 million and felt cheated when I said no. Grace sat across from me with the spreadsheet open. Naomi, I know. No, look at it. I see it. Do you? I stared at the number. My eyes burned. Grace softened. You didn't fail because you helped. You were trained to confuse love with rescue. That sentence stayed. My parents asked for a meeting 3 weeks later. I refused at first. Then Vivian suggested a controlled meeting in her office. No Marcus. No Tasha. Just my parents. My mother arrived pale and tired. My father looked older. For once, neither of them started with blame. We sat across from each other. Vivian at the end of the table. Grace beside me. My mother spoke first. I am sorry. I waited. She looked down. For what specifically? That was my question now. The one I had learned to ask, because vague apologies are blankets people throw over sharp things. My mother swallowed. For agreeing that Marcus could move into Rosegate. For pointing at your guest room like it belonged to me. For suggesting you live in the garden cottage. For using the grandchildren to pressure you. For crying instead of telling the truth. My throat tightened. She had named the cottage. That mattered. My father spoke next. I am sorry too. I looked at him. For what specifically? His jaw worked. For acting like your house was available because your brother needed it. For treating your success as family overflow. For telling you to watch your tone when Marcus was the one who crossed the line. For calling Rosegate family property in spirit. His voice lowered. And for not asking harder questions about the money he lost. My mother started crying quietly. Not loudly, not weaponized, quietly. I did not know he took the children's savings, she said. I believe you. But I knew enough, she whispered. I knew enough to stop asking you to save him. That was true. I did not comfort her. That was new. I let the truth sit without dressing it in forgiveness too quickly. My father said, "What happens now?" "Financial support stops," I said. My mother looked up. "All of it?" "Unstructured support, yes. I will not pay Marcus's debts. I will not pay lenders. I will not house him. I will not allow him on my property. If you need medical help, it goes directly to the provider. If you need anything else, it must be discussed clearly, not through crisis." My father nodded slowly. He did not like it, but he heard it. "No more using my name," I said. "No more telling people my property is available. No more family meetings without me about my life. No more calling my no selfish." My mother whispered, "Yes." My father nodded, "Yes." Then my mother said something I did not expect. "Tasha needs help." I stiffened. Grace did too. My mother raised her hands. "I am not asking for money. I am saying she may leave Marcus." I looked down. Tasha. The woman who had held paint samples in my living room, but also told the truth when it mattered. What kind of help? A lawyer. Maybe a place to understand her options. Vivian looked at me. I said, "Give her Vivian's referral line. Not cash. Not through Marcus." My mother nodded quickly. Okay. That was the first sign that maybe she was learning the difference between help and rescue. Tasha called me 2 days later. Her voice shook. "I'm sorry for what I did at Rosegate." "For what specifically?" She inhaled. "For coming into your house with paint samples. For not stopping them before you got there. For letting Marcus convince me that because you had more, asking less of you was unfair. For helping plan where your rooms would go." I closed my eyes. That one hurt. "Thank you." "I'm leaving him," she whispered. I heard. "I don't want your money." "Good. I need information. That I can give." I connected her to Vivian's colleague and a financial counselor. Tasha later filed for separation. The children's savings issue became part of the legal mess Marcus had created. He hated me for not paying it back immediately. But Tasha understood. "If you refill what he stole without consequence," she told me once, "he will learn nothing except where the next refill comes from." She was right. Instead, I created a protected education fund for the children through legal channels inaccessible to Marcus. Not because he demanded, because I chose to protect children from adult foolishness without feeding the foolish adult. Marcus fell hard after that. Creditors came. Partners disappeared. Friends stopped answering. My parents stopped handing him hidden money. Tasha moved out. For the first time in his life, Marcus stood in a mess no woman was rushing to clean. He called me names. Greedy, cold, arrogant, ungrateful, lonely woman in a big house. That last one made me laugh. Not because it did not sting. Because he thought loneliness was the worst thing. He did not know being surrounded by people who treat your life like storage is lonelier. Months passed. Rosegate became peaceful again. But peace after invasion is not immediate. I changed the locks, changed every code, installed cameras, rearranged the rooms they had touched. The guest room Marcus had assigned to Caleb became a reading room. The blue room became a prayer room. The garden cottage became my writing studio again. I placed Grandma Ruth's rocking chair by the window and sat there one evening, holding her old note. A woman needs one door that opens, because her own hand holds the key. I whispered, I kept the door, then cried. Grace came over that night with dinner. She walked through the house approvingly. Good. No evidence of Marcus colonization remains. Grace. What? It was an attempted bedroom coup. I laughed. I needed that. 3 months later, I started the Not Ever Fund. The name came from that day. Not ever. Not my house. Not my peace. Not my rooms. Not my future. Not ever. The fund helped women protect homes from family pressure after debt, addiction, financial loss, divorce, inheritance conflict, or adult sibling entitlement. Vivian taught property rights. Grace taught financial boundaries. I taught the emotional class. The first session was called Your Spare Room is Not Someone Else's Consequence. The room filled. Women told stories that sounded like echoes. My brother lost money, and my parents wanted him to move into my condo. My cousin got divorced, and they said I should give up my guest room. My parents told relatives my house was family property. My sister's husband lost their rent, and they wanted my basement. My family said because I don't have children, I don't need space. That last one made the whole room quiet. I knew that wound. The idea that a woman without children lives in extra space. Extra money, extra time, extra life. Nothing about her is extra. I told them, a house does not become available because someone else failed to protect theirs. You may help. You may host. You may choose generosity. But pressure is not consent. Women wrote that down. Pressure is not consent. Marcus eventually came to one of my boundaries the hard way. A lender tried to contact me directly about his debt, claiming he had listed Rosegate as a family asset source. Vivian responded so sharply that the lender apologized. Marcus called me furious. You embarrassed me. I said no. I corrected fraud. It was not fraud. Then why did correction scare you? He hung up. A year later, he asked to meet. I ignored the first request. Then the second. The third came through Tasha. She said, he says he wants to apologize, not ask. Grace said, that sentence needs a background check. Vivian said, public place. So we met at a cafe. Marcus looked different. Less polished, less loud. He wore a plain shirt and tired eyes. For once, he did not begin with charm. He said, I am sorry. I waited. He exhaled. For losing the money. For lying about how much was borrowed. For telling lenders Rosegate was family property. For walking into your house with a tape measure like I had a right. For letting mom and dad ask you to move into the cottage. For using my kids to make you feel guilty. That was more honesty than I expected. What changed? I asked. He looked out the window. Tasha left. The kids asked why I kept blaming you. Dad stopped paying. Mom stopped crying for me. And for the first time, nobody cleaned it up. He swallowed. I hated you for that. I know, but it made me see myself. I looked at him. And what did you see? A man who thought need was ownership. That sentence landed. Good. Painful. But good. I did not forgive him fully that day. 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 I simply said, I hear you. He nodded. I know that's more than I deserve. For once, he was right. Years passed. Marcus slowly rebuilt. Not dramatically. Not into a millionaire. Not into the family success story my father once promised. He got a regular job in logistics. Paid court-ordered debts slowly. Co-parented better. Showed up for the children without making every struggle a tragedy. That was growth. Not glamorous. Real. My parents changed too. My mother learned to ask, is this a request or am I just sharing feelings? I liked that. My father stopped calling my assets family blessings. He called Rosegate Naomi's house. Every time. The first time he did it in front of a relative, I almost cried. Small words can repair big lies. One Sunday, 2 years after the Rosegate incident, I invited my parents for lunch. Not Marcus. Not yet. Just them. My mother brought flowers and asked where to put them. Asked. My father stood at the doorway until I invited him in. That nearly broke me. At lunch, my mother looked toward the garden cottage. "I am sorry about that," she said. I followed her gaze. "The cottage?" She nodded. "I think about it often, how easily I moved you out of your own house in my mind." I did not speak. She continued. "That was ugly of me." "Yes," I said. She nodded. "No defense. No collapse. Growth," my father said quietly. "I thought a daughter should make room." I looked at him. "And now?" He looked around Rosegate. "Now I think a daughter should not have to fight her own family for room she bought." That apology mattered. Not because everything became perfect. Because they finally understood the shape of what they had done. Years later, the Not Ever Fund opened its first emergency legal center at Rosegate's old carriage house. Not inside my private home. On the edge of the property, renovated with its own entrance. I kept my peace separate from my purpose. That was important. Women came for document review, emergency planning, family pressure coaching, and property protection. On the wall, we placed one framed sentence. Not ever. Under it, not my house, not my peace, not my future. Grace thought we should add, not Marcus. I said no. She said, fine, but spiritually it's there. At the opening ceremony, Tasha spoke. She told the room, "I once stood in another woman's house holding paint samples for rooms I had no right to imagine. Shame should have ended me, but accountability rebuilt me. Do not confuse needing help with being entitled to someone else's home." People applauded. I cried. Marcus stood in the back. He did not speak that day, but he listened. That was enough. The children grew. Caleb once asked me why their father almost moved into my house. I answered carefully. Because adults sometimes make bad decisions when they are scared. Were you scared? Yes. But you still said no? Yes. He thought about that, then said, good. Children know truth when adults stop burying it under speeches. Rosegate remained mine. My porch, my library, my sunny kitchen, my garden, my cottage, my quiet. Sometimes people asked why I did not sell it after everything. I understood the question, but I never considered it. Why should I lose a house because they lost their sense? Rosegate was not stained by their entitlement. It was proven by my refusal. Every room they tried to claim became more mine after I defended it. The guest room became a scholarship reading room for girls in the Not Ever Fund. The blue room became a meditation space. The dining room hosted small dinners for women who had recently said no to family pressure. The garden cottage became the place where I wrote most of my speeches. One evening, sitting there as rain tapped the window, I thought about the day I came home and found the tape measure. That little object. So ordinary. So bold. A tape measure in the hands of a man who had not earned 1 inch of my floor. I still kept it. Yes. When they left, Marcus forgot it on the sofa. I could have thrown it away. Instead, Grace made me frame it. Under it, she wrote, "Measure your own consequences." I told her it was too dramatic. She said, "So was moving into a house that wasn't yours." She won. My parents gave my house to my brother after losing $1 million. I said, not ever. People love the dramatic part. The living room, the paint samples, the tape measure, the garden cottage, the mother crying, the father demanding, the brother exposed, the lawyer arriving, the children's savings account, the lender at the gate. I understand. It is dramatic. But the real story is about learning that your compassion needs a lock. It is about realizing that family can love you and still feel entitled to what you built if nobody teaches them otherwise. It is about understanding that rescue becomes robbery when the person being rescued expects your life as payment. It is about knowing that you can care about someone's suffering without surrendering your shelter. If you are listening and your family is trying to move someone into your house because he lost money, failed again, refused responsibility, or needs stability, slow down. Ask questions. How long? Who pays? What agreement? What boundaries? What happens if the answer is no? Who created the crisis? Who keeps being protected from consequences? Why is my home the solution? Why is my peace negotiable? Do not let anyone measure your bedrooms before you measure the truth. Do not let tears become a lease. Do not let children become keys. Do not let family language erase legal ownership. Do not let your success become emergency housing for someone else's repeated foolishness. You may help, you may support, you may love, but make sure your help does not become your disappearance. A spare room is still yours. A garden cottage is not where you go after people promote themselves into your master bedroom. A house you bought with years of work does not become family property because someone failed loudly. And a woman living alone is not living with extra space. She is living in peace. That peace is not available without permission. Today, Rosegate still stands. The roses bloom every spring. The library smells like old books and lemon oil. The kitchen catches morning light. The garden cottage has a desk facing the window and Grandma Ruth's rocking chair beside it. My parents visit by invitation. Marcus visits rarely, respectfully, and never with luggage. Tasha and the children come for dinners sometimes. No one measures rooms. No one mentions moving in. No one calls it family property. On my front door, inside where only I can see it, hangs a small brass key hook. Above it is Grandma Ruth's note. A woman needs one door that opens because her own hand holds the key. My hand holds the key. My name is Naomi Bennett. My parents gave my house to my brother after he lost $1 million. I said, not ever. And that was the day I stopped letting love become the road everyone used to drive through my life.